Chapter 5 Unconditional Love. Unconditional Love. State of Love. Before we discuss unconditional love, let's talk about the word love. Love takes on different meaning when we speak about God, a partner, a child, a dog, or a country. While the English language uses the same word to describe love, the ancient Greeks used different terms. Their philosophers studied various types of love, which are examined below. Number 1. Eros, or romantic or erotic love. I desire your beauty. You give me pleasure. Eros is named for the Greek god of love and fertility. As such, Eros is the love of beauty, a starting point of desire. It is related to sexual appeal, based on the chemistry of a strong physical and emotional attraction. When a relationship is built solely on erotic love, it is said that it burns hot and bright, but it burns out fast. The physical body and hormones are the main drive for this love. How to engage in Eros. Finding sensory pleasure in someone's physical body. Physical contact as in hugging and kissing. Romantic, affectionate connection. Number 2. Philia, or friendship, platonic love. I respect you and appreciate your differences. You are my best friend. Philia is a love between friends with a shared equality of respect. It's commonly referred to as brotherly or platonic love, meaning love without sexual interaction. This form of love is often shared amongst those having similar values and interests. Greek philosophers defined it as affectionate love. They considered philia to be a higher form than eros. Here, we go beyond the previous stage of love, as another person is not the object of whom we feel dependent on or attached to. We can listen and open up with trust and less vulnerability. This love is successful as long as mutual respect is understood and maintained. How to engage in philia. Having meaningful conversations with a friend. Remain approachable, receptive, and trustworthy. Show compassion and support through difficult times. Number 3. Pragma, or enduring love. I love you, and I want to stay with you for the rest of my life. The ancient Greeks defined pragma as enduring love, which is almost the opposite of eros, sexual love. While eros tends to burn out quickly because of its passion and intensity, pragma is a long-lasting love that has matured over time. In this relationship, both partners understand the need to compromise and show equal efforts to ensure the other person's happiness. Commitment and dedication to making the relationship work are essential to sustain pragma. It is the love of married couples who have been together for several decades. How to engage in pragma. Ongoing thoughtfulness and awareness of the need to regenerate the enduring bond. Show your partner the efforts you're willing to make. Your primary wish is to live and work with your partner forever. Number 4. Storge, or familiar love. I am happy, and I become a better version of myself when you are around. I feel affectionate and tenderness for you. Storge is tenderness or familial love. At this stage, love becomes a state of being. We feel tenderness for others and all forms of life. Such love can grow out of friendship, philia, and it illustrates the natural form of affection experienced between family members such as parents and their children. It does not consist of physical or sexual attraction, but of a strong bond of familiarity between people. Our memories encourage long-lasting bonds with another individual. As we create more memories, the quality of our relationship increases. It is built on acceptance and deep emotional connection. Storge sees the other as a free object and accepts their alterity. The relationship does not depend on shared equal respect as in philia. We no longer expect to receive back what we have given. Little by little, we realize that love is fully expressed by service to others. With the creation of new memories, the value of our relationship increases. How to engage in storge. Offer time, self, or personal enjoyments unselfishly to your family. Let go of resentment toward others as quickly as possible. Share memorable moments of personal impact with family or old friends. Number 5. Mania or obsessive love. I love you like crazy. You are mine alone. I cannot live without you. Mania is an obsessively passionate love associated with fear of losing the object of love. It can lead someone into madness, jealousy, possessiveness, codependency, or anger. The partner becomes part of the survival need. How to avoid mania. Recognize obsessive or possessive behavior before acting upon it. Focus more on yourself than the other person. Happiness inside out. Set boundaries. Acknowledge and accept inevitable loss. Number 6. Ludus or playful love. I have fun when you are around. Ludus is playful or uncommitted love. One tends to see love as a game, and it may involve flirting, seducing, and laughter. The focus is on fun, and sometimes on multiple conquests without commitment. This love is common in young couples, or at the beginning of a relationship, the honeymoon stage, or in uncommitted relationships that some call friends with benefits. Studies show that when experiencing this type of love, their brains function as if they were taking addictive drugs. Ludus works best when both parties are mature and self-sufficient. Friends with benefits problems arise when one party mistakes ludus for eros or storge. Studies have shown that committed relationships are more beneficial for mental health than uncommitted or casual relationships. How to exhibit ludus. Flirt and engage in humorous conversation with your partner. Spend time together, laughing and having fun. Demonstrate ways to show your partner that you trust them, and find opportunities to be silly or childlike together. Number 7. Philotia or self-love. I love myself, so I can extend this love to others. The ancient Greek meaning of philotia is the non-narcissistic love we should have for ourselves. Before we can extend love to or receive it from others, we need to look inward and feel a healthy degree of self-love and consideration. It is the matrix through which we think, feel, act, and relate to others, as well as to the world. This love involves nurturing and caring for our minds, bodies, and souls. It is much harder to provide for and support others when we are tired and stressed. Conversely, when we feel biologically, psychologically, socially, and spiritually whole and healthy, we are better equipped to care and provide for others. Thus, it is essential to create an environment that fosters our well-being. This may include a healthy diet, good sleep hygiene, exercise, breath control, dancing, massage, art, music, being around people, spending time in nature, prayer, meditation, and so on. How to show philotia. Create an environment that nurtures your well-being. Take care of yourself, as a parent would care for a child. Spend time with people who support you. Number 8. Agape, or unconditional love. It's not me who loves, it's the love that loves through me. This love makes the universe move and touches the human soul. Agape is unconditional love, or the highest state of love, and it is rare for humans to reach this level of being. One projects love in all directions, just as the sun shed its light on earth and creatures without distinction. It is a universal love that radiates outward toward all forms of life. At this stage, we are wholly capable of forgiving our enemy. We love unconditionally, with respect for one's freedom. Indeed, to respect freedom means we cannot force anyone to love. When Christ said, Agape allelus, love one another, he was inviting us to welcome the presence of agape within us. With unconditional love, we still have preferences, but none alter our love toward all beings. Pure love is often associated with spiritual or divine love. Here we touch on the source, which lacks nothing and gives freely. It is not something we can possess. It is free of attachment and can only expand in sharing, self-fulfilling. It is not something we can lose under certain circumstances. Rather, it is constant, permanent, and unchanging. It is neither deserved nor paid for in any way, but simply a gift. An inner decision opens us to agape. We can welcome this gift of love that is within us. The modern concept of such love is altruism, or an all-inclusive love for strangers, nature, animals, victims, and criminals, the good and the bad. It's given without expectation of anything in return. Some people would describe agape as a type of spiritual love. Christians believe that Jesus exhibited this kind of love for all humans. He was selfless and sacrificed himself so that others could be absolved of their sins. He suffered for the happiness of others. Unconditional love is the absolute and ultimate truth, whereas everything else is relative. The maternal love of a mother for her child is perhaps the best way to illustrate this love. Imagine a mother visiting her son, a murderer in prison. She does not condone his actions, but loves him unconditionally and forgives him despite them. Romantic versus agape. Romantic love is often confused with unconditional love. Let's examine these differences. Romantic love is based on attraction and fades after the objective is realized. Transient. You can gain it or lose it, and this can cause fear and/or anticipation of loss. Stimulated by adrenaline and sex hormones. May cause impaired judgment, attachment, possessiveness, and control. Anticipation of loss can cause rage, jealousy, even suicide or murder. Continues for years, only when combined with other types of love. Unconditional love sees the essence, beauty, and love in everything. Permanent, continuous, and self-fulfilling. Starts as a personal decision that emanates from the heart. Increased discernment of truth, non-attached, non-possessive. Release of endorphins. Benefits of unconditional love. Healing love. To advance toward unconditional love is a goal of major religions and spiritually committed people. Well-intentioned human beings who want to improve the world will succeed to a certain point and ultimately fail if they ignore the underlying cause, lack of love. We can heal the world through love, as it is a healing energy. It restores the absence of love, which causes isolation and suffering. Love's energy is all-encompassing and transforms the world around us. This phenomenon is called the non-verbal effect of the energy of love. We change the world not by what we have or do, but by what we have become. This love is a state of being, meaning it springs from the heart, not from the mind, enabling our presence to touch human souls. Perhaps you remember a time with someone that radiated such love and felt your heart uplifted by the presence of love. Psychiatrist David Hawkins, in his book Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, tells the story of a hunter who shot a flying duck. The bird fell to the ground badly injured. The female mate flew down and spread her wings over the injured duck to shelter him. When the hunter witnessed this act of love, his heart changed, and he vowed never to hunt again. Experiencing unconditional love can transform our lives. Some believe that unconditional love is the ultimate law of the universe. That love is the ultimate truth, and everything else remains relative. When one loves at this level, a critical discernment of truth and wisdom has been gained. This way of being supports life in a natural sense, achieving a profound understanding of the truth of life in all natural forms. One knows in their heart what truth is. When we love, we seek to understand ourselves and others and the errors they have made. Understanding leads to forgiveness. Thus, unconditional love leads to unconditional forgiveness. And with forgiveness, we are able to let go of negative feelings such as guilt, shame, and bitterness. With lovingness and forgiveness, letting go becomes more instinctive, continuous, and effectively healing. Additionally, love empowers us to do things we never thought were possible. It helps potentially become actuality when other conditions are present. This energy becomes a catalyst, and this love can be seen in support groups where love of acceptance among members are a motivation for change. Love enables us to feel more connected to others and the world around us. We feel our oneness with all of life because we can see love as the essence of all things. It helps us go beyond and can dissolve the ego. Therefore, beyond the duality of the mind, there is no separation, only oneness. Research studies suggest that loving kindness meditation, LKM, and compassion meditation, CM, are highly promising practices for improving positive feelings and reducing stress and negative emotions like anxiety and mood symptoms. LKM aims to develop an effective state of unconditional kindness to all people, whereas CM involves techniques to cultivate compassion, or deep genuine sympathy for those stricken by misfortune, together with an earnest wish to ease their suffering. LKM and CM have been described as paths toward a profoundly spiritual transformation that may help cultivate an appreciation for our oneness and an awareness of the suffering caused by separation, as well as the happiness of knowing our connection with all beings. Recent studies have shown that the brain of those experiencing unconditional love changes neurologically. It alters the chemistry of our brain's physiology. The neuronal connections change due to a shift in the brain's energy balance. Lovingness changes brain physiology from left brain, reason dominance, to right brain, intuitive. Lovingness has a powerful effect on a person's happiness, and it reduces emotional disturbances. Research demonstrates that love activates the release of neurotransmitters and hormones, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins, related to feelings of well-being, and it reduces anxiety and stress. Psychologist Abraham Maslow supported the idea that individuals need unconditional love in order to grow. Additionally, Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist Dr. Viktor Frankl writes in his book Man's Search for Meaning, "Love unconditionally is essential for living a meaningful life. Love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. No one can become fully aware of the essence of another human being unless he loves him. By love, the loving person enables the beloved person to actualize their potentialities." According to quantum physics, the law of attraction, self-fulfilling prophecy, and from my clinical experience, I see that what is held in the mind, for example, feelings, thoughts, and intentions, is inclined to manifest. If we hold on to negative feelings such as anger, resentment, hate, or jealousy, we will find ourselves surrounded by angry people. If we remain filled with fear, we are more likely to be surrounded by fear-provoking events. On the other hand, if we are full of love and compassion, we will attract more loving people. Therefore, we need to change our thoughts and feelings about others if we want others to change their feelings about us. For others to become more loving toward us, we first need to love them. Ultimately, love will change us and those around us. Tips on moving towards agape. There are barriers in moving towards unconditional love, an unpleasant past, genetic factors, social programming, and belief systems. However, as mentioned earlier, it is an inner decision to move toward lovingness. With dedication and willingness, it's a possible goal for everyone to achieve. Traditional wisdom encourages us to do so. Jesus said, "Love your enemy." Buddha taught that hate is not conquered by hate. Hate is conquered by love. Let's consider some useful tips for moving towards agape. Love yourself unconditionally first. And God said, "Love your enemy." And I obeyed him and loved myself. Khalil Gibran. Unconditional love starts at home, with oneself. We must love ourselves before we can extend love to others. We know our limitations and shortcomings better than anyone. Therefore, if we can love ourselves despite the awareness of our own limitations, we will be able to offer the same to others. There's a well-known quote from the late American poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou that says, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." We must accept and forgive ourselves for not being perfect and for things we did at times when we did not have enough knowledge or experience. If we never see ourselves worthy of unconditional love, we will never be able to see ourselves worthy of offering it. You can't pour from an empty cup. Choose to forgive yourself and others for everything and seek to understand. Forgiveness letter. The key to moving towards unconditional love is a willingness to forgive ourselves and others for everything. This will allow us to let go of negative feelings and bring about healing. With such forgiveness, we can let go of guilt, shame, bitterness, anger, and resentment. Now ask yourself, what haven't I forgiven in myself or others? Unconditional forgiveness is not something that our ego or mind is capable of. It emanates from the heart. It is not something we think about, but something we become. Essentially, a state of being. It means trying to forgive everything, whatever it may be, including those that never apologize to us, and even our enemies. We love them as human beings, subject to human limitations. We strive to feel compassion toward their ignorance without condoning their behaviors. Their actions may stem from not knowing any better, from lack of love or discernment of truth in their lives. In religious terms, it translates to hate the sin, love the sinner. Loving someone unconditionally does not compel us to approve of their behavior, but to forgive them, because they know not what they do, as Jesus said. I would say that the only sin is to lack love. In other words, agape is the absolute truth, and everything else is relative. It is also said that what we forgive in others will be forgiven in ourselves. That which we forgive in others is grounded in our own perceptions. Deeply spiritual people believe there is nothing to forgive, since everything is already forgiven. Again, to forgive from the heart can take time, and it's an ongoing process. Still, if we dedicate ourselves to love, we will better understand others, as love brings compassion and the desire to understand rather than condemn, and with understanding, one can forgive. When we face injustice, there's something within us unwilling to forgive. We look for justice and may feel better in the face of inhuman behaviors, but forgiveness should have the last word. We need to try and let go of negative feelings in order to feel whole, as forgiveness does not enclose individuals within the negative consequences of their actions. Existing suffering does not need to be complicated by adding more suffering in our lives, as this will inevitably reflect chaos. Forgiveness permits us to let go and allow life to be the force in control of justice. In doing so, we activate more joy and peace. To heal our hearts, we need to forgive past wounds and realize that the process of life controls the path to justice, and we do not. This reasoning will remove a significant amount of stress from our lives. We all reap what we sow. All thoughts and actions have consequences, and one day we will have to bear those consequences. With forgiveness, We also need to set boundaries. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting others take advantage of us. It's sometimes best to remove ourselves from an environment in which we are repeatedly mistreated, as this can be a loving choice for both parties. Under such circumstances, it is helpful to avoid the negative and at the same time, be forgiving towards others, displaying your best intentions. Choose to see beauty in all life instead of the imperfection. To love unconditionally is to see the beauty, perfection, and constant presence of love everywhere. Like the sun, we can shine equally on all living things, radiating love everywhere, instead of projecting judgment onto the world. Let go of attachment and possessiveness. Love is all-inclusive and knows how to share, rather than remaining attached to what it possesses, whether it be knowledge or a material possession. Agape offers more joy in giving and sharing, and is not prideful about possessions, nor does it expect anything in return. Expectation leads only to more attachment, putting pressure on others and causing inner resistance and defensiveness. Love is a primary energy, and everything else is secondary. To embrace unconditional love, we must embrace non-attachment, as discussed in the first chapter. Practice non-attachment toward money, homes, cars, expectations, plans, outcomes, and the like. Accept oneself, others, and all life experience. If we want to move toward lovingness, we need to accept life experience as much as we can. This means breaking away from the desire to control or make changes to everything. Loving unconditionally helps us to see perfection in all things and accept what comes to us via others and the world as it is. We can choose to view negative experiences as an opportunity to grow. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Reinhold Niebuhr. Choose love without expecting anything in return. Dedicate your life to improving the lives of others with love without expecting anything in return. You may offer your time, charity, money, or advice to someone in need. What might be a loving act towards one person could be different for another. If you have two friends dealing with the loss of a loved one, being the shoulder to cry on and engaging in long talks may be the loving choice for one, while just being present and silent may be what's needed for the other. Ask yourself, how can I help with this right now? Be willing to practice unconditional love towards all forms of life. Unconditional love is not limited to human beings and includes all of life. Have the willingness to love yourself, others, and all forms of life all the time, everywhere, under all conditions, without exception. Ask yourself, are you expressing unconditional love towards all of life and its experiences? Try to do this at least once a day. Show your love to Mother Nature. Be loving to a pet. Give something without any expectations in return. Tell someone you love them without expecting to hear it back. Let someone into your lane during rush hour and open the door for someone. Be willing to replace fear with love. The antidote for fear is love. Sages and saints from all religions have said that love casts out fear. In the state of agape, there is nothing to fear, because there is nothing to lose. Agape is unchanging, permanent, and always within. It is not something we can lose. If our love or happiness comes from an exterior source, we will feel a fear of loss. However, if that love comes from within, it won't be dependent on outside circumstances. Instead of fearing the loss of another, we may want to appreciate the present moment by loving them. Fear of loss may be replaced by showing love to our fellow workers. Fear of weight gain may be replaced by loving our bodies. Engage in support group meetings such as AA, Smart Recovery, or Refuge Recovery groups. These groups encourage us to move upward towards lovingness and are great examples of where you can experience a high form of love. These groups love you, not for what you do or what you have, but for what you are, a fellow human. Practice the 5 love languages. Ancient Greeks weren't the only ones to study love. Over a long period of time, relationship therapist Dr. Gary Chapman identified 5 languages of love through his work with couples. His book, The 5 Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, provides a lot more detail. In a nutshell, Chapman argues that each of us gives and receives love differently, but all fall into 5 categories. Words of affirmation. Some people want to hear "I love you" or other positive words from their partner. Without them, they feel unloved. Acts of service. Doing nice things for your partner is an act of service, whether it be changing the oil in the car, cleaning the house, making dinner, or doing things to help make the other person happy. Receiving gifts. Some people value giving and receiving gifts, and some do not. If you measure your partner's love by how many gifts you are given, your love language is receiving gifts. Quality time. Other people measure the quality of their love by how much time their significant other wants to spend with them. Without enough together time, they can feel unloved. Physical touch. Some individuals associate love with physical touch. From hand-holding to cuddling to sex counts as physical touch. Attachment theory and love. Past experiences, especially from childhood, can affect how much we're able to share love with another. Secure relationships with our parents make it easier to offer love as an adult, but insecure, unhealthy relationships with our early caregivers can leave us uneasy about it. Attachment theory can teach us how these dynamics work and the psychological principle concerning relationships between humans. The important point of this model is that young children need to develop a relationship with at least one primary caregiver for normal social and emotional development. It was developed by psychiatrist and psychoanalyst John Bowlby and was extended to adult romantic relationships in the late 1980s by Cindy Hazen and Philip Shaver. There are 4 major attachment styles that are formed in early life and which people are likely to have later in adult life. These styles explain how we relate to others based on our personality traits. There are 4 adult attachment styles. Number 1, secure. Number 2, anxious preoccupied. Number 3, dismissive avoidant. Number 4, fearful avoidant. Secure attachment style. Those with a strong secure attachment style regularly manifest some of the following traits: higher emotional intelligence, effective communicators, appropriate and constructive communication of emotions, sound ability to send and receive healthy expressions of intimacy, knows when to draw healthy, appropriate, and reasonable boundaries, feels confident whether alone or with a companion, inclined towards having a positive view of relationships, likelier to take interpersonal difficulties in stride, prefers to solve problems through discussion rather than with an antagonistic attitude, excellent conflict resolution, resilient in the face of relationship disillusion, has a willingness to grieve, learn, and move forward. For these people, unconditional love is practiced with ease. People that have a secure attachment style are not perfect. They too can experience highs and lows, just like everyone else. But their mature approach to relationships reflects the healthiest of the 4 adult attachment styles. Anxious preoccupied attachment style. Those with the anxious preoccupied attachment style consistently demonstrate several of the following traits: nervousness and insecurity in relationships, relationship stressors based on real and imagined actions and events, tendency towards neediness, possessiveness, jealousy, control, oversensitivity, and obsessiveness, propensity for negative reasoning. A partner socializing with friends leads to the other partner to think, He doesn't really love me. I was right not to trust him. Actions are then taken that inevitably pushes the partner away. Requires constant validation to feel secure and accepted. Leans towards desperation to form a fantasy bond, wanting someone loving at all times. Feels an emotional hunger for love. Looks to a partner to feel rescued or complete for a sense of safety and security. Drama-oriented personality. Constantly struggles with relationship issues in order to attain validation, reassurance, and acceptance. For some, they feel more comfortable within stormy relationships. Uneasiness when alone. Seeks high levels of intimacy, approval, and responsiveness from partners. Less trusting. Preserves negative views about themselves and their partners. High levels of emotional expression. Overreaction to expected separation or actual separation. Painful cycle of self-fulfilling prophecies and self-sabotage. Frequently seeks a dismissive avoidant partner. Dismissive avoidant attachment style. This style is observable through several of the following traits shown on a regular basis. Extremely self-directed and self-sufficient. Desires a high level of independence, behaviorally and emotionally. Viewing oneself as not needing close relationships. Avoidance of true intimacy, believed to make one vulnerable. Emotional obligations. Pushing away those that get too close. I need room to breathe. Other priorities in life are found to be more important than romantic relationships. Work, social life, personal projects and passions, travel, fun, etc. Frequently excluding the partner. Commitment issues. Some prefer to be single. Has few truly close relationships. Seeks isolation and feeling pseudo-independent. Passive aggressiveness and/or narcissism. Tendency to suppress emotions. Deals with conflict by distancing themselves from their partner. Lacks interest in forming close relationships. Feels considerable distrust in others. Creates high levels of self-esteem by investing in personal abilities or accomplishments. Maintains a positive view of self based on personal achievements. Explicit rejection or minimizing the importance of emotional attachment. Indifference towards the opinions of others. Low psychological intimacy. One-night stands. Sex without love. Feels vulnerable when faced with a crisis. Fearful avoidant attachment style. Those that have this style repeatedly exhibit several of the following emotions and traits: grief, PTSD, neglect, abandonment, and abuse after especially challenging life experiences. Mixed feelings about close relationships, desiring them and simultaneously feeling uncomfortable with emotional closeness. Desiring, but concurrently resisting intimacy. Struggles with feeling confident towards others and relying on them. As with the anxious, preoccupied style, they are suspicious of others' intentions, words, and actions. As with the dismissive avoidant style, they push people away. Mistrust towards partner and views self as unworthy. Like dismissive avoidant people, fearful avoidant adults often seek less intimacy, suppressing their feelings. Fear of being too close or too distant from others. Overwhelmed by emotional reactions and often experiences emotional storms. Likely to be mixed up or unpredictable in their moods. They have the belief that they must cling to others to get their needs met, but in doing so, someone will likely get hurt. The person they want to go to for safety is the one they fear being close to the most. They find themselves in rocky or dramatic relationships, experiencing many highs and lows. Ongoing fear of abandonment and coexistence struggle with intimacy. Final thoughts. Insecure individuals, more often than not, attract those equally insecure, and secure individuals attract secure individuals. Insecure relationships are less emotionally satisfying than secure attachments, as those less secure cannot practice unconditional love. Secure individuals cope with loss more easily, death, rejection, infidelity, abandonment, etc. Attachment styles are both genetic and environmental. They are developed in childhood and are passed down through our genetics. Children learn how to connect relationally from their parents and caregivers, and what they learn, they apply to their adult relationships. Our attachment history plays a crucial role in determining how we relate in adult romantic relationships and how we connect to our children. When our caregivers reject us or are unresponsive to our needs, we may develop an insecure avoidant or dismissive avoidant attachment style. Children who experience persistent neglect or abuse may develop a fearful avoidant or disorganized, disoriented attachment style. They may fear both intimacy and being alone. If caretakers fluctuate between being responsive to our needs or being dismissive and neglectful of them, we may develop an insecure, ambivalent, or anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Thus, any negative experience with caregivers can cause negative attachment styles that will lack the ability to provide unconditional love within relationships.